Alright, welcome everybody to RIW Hobbies and Games in Livonia, Michigan. I'm Zach, joined by...
Raja Solomon.
And today we're making magic happen. Specifically, we're making Paper Pioneer happen.
That's right.
We have been battling this a lot. We've mostly only done Modern, but today we're playing the breakout deck in Pioneer. This has been since the bannings. There was bannings earlier in the week. There was a
That's
bunch
right, blue-white control.
Yeah, blue-white control. Now, there was a bunch of combo decks got nerfed in the format. We lost Blue-Black Inverter, Lotus Breach, so Underworld Breach deck. We lost Heliod Ballista combo, so there was a mono-white deck that was really strong that's kind of gone now. And we lost Kethis. So all these combo-based decks gone, and the format looks more fair. That said, the deck Raj is playing has kind of been breaking out. It feels kind of combo-y, I guess you could say. You want to tell us what you're playing, Raj, and kind of give a breakdown of it?
Yeah, I'm playing the Naya Winota deck. It's built around Winota Joiner of Forces. If you don't know by now, it's a 4-mana 4/4. And it says whenever a non-human creature attacks, you get to look at the top 6 cards of your library. Put a human onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible, and then you put the rest on the bottom. And so this triggers for each individual non-human you have. So the idea is you get an early start with one of your 8-mana dorks into ideally like a Legion Warboss to start making these non-human creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't, you have these 2 drops that also can do the job, at least Voice of Resurgence does. Both of these are good at making your opponent not be able to play during your turn favorably. There are also ways to kind of keep a body around if your opponent does have like a sweeper or rule spell. And in both cases, they're non-humans, so they're good for triggering Winota. PNLR does the same thing. It's a human that you can hit off the Winota while still creating a body that's a Winota trigger body. P and PNLR do the same thing, just for a little more and for more bodies. And then you kind of build some redundancy with the deck, with Eldritch Evolution being able to find your copies of Winota. And it's kind of nice to sacrifice these guys because they get the trigger. But a lot of your bodies just kind of throw away, so it's kind of nice to just have a way to turn them into something relevant. And then the biggest, I guess, combo-esque aspect of the deck is hitting an Angry-Ass Marauders. This is probably like the best human you can hit in this deck for what it does. It's a 7-mana 4/4, but it says if a source you control will deal damage to a permanent or a player, it deals double that damage. So all your guys are basically gaining pseudo double strike almost.
Yeah. It's not double strike because there's not like the 2 stages, but it
right, but
doubles
it's
their
just a
damage.
bigger packet of damage.
Yep.
Twice as much every time. So that's pretty powerful.
Well,
It even works with like PNLR sacrificing artifacts too, so it's not limited to just combat.
definitely. Well, and the thing that's crazy about that card is it stacks. So
Right, so
you put 2 copies in, and now your things are dealing
Quadruple.
3 copies is 8 times instead of 4 or whatever it would be if you were just kind of like adding a double or whatever.
Yeah, and like realistically, in a fair world, that would just never come up because you're playing a 7-mana 4/4.
Yep.
But when you're triggering Winota as many times as you are in this deck, it's very reasonable to like hit 2 copies in one combat and just crush your opponent out of nowhere.
Yeah, like you're attacking with some 1/1s that are all of a sudden all dealing 4 apiece.
Yeah.
And they stay in play, like, and they're also attacking, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, this by itself, 2 of these would be 8 4s, or 8 damage from each, right?
Yep.
So, like, yeah, the damage is going to be pretty heavy. I'm sorry, it would be 16 each.
16 apiece.
So
So if you hit 2 of them, they're attacking for 32.
yeah.
And they're indestructible, so even if I block them, there's like they're gonna stay in play.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous.
Yep, and then we have this one of Samet, Voice of Dissent. It's just another nice human that you can hit off of Winota. It's also nice that we have like 1 to tutor off of the Eldritch Evolution. It gives your guys haste. It has haste. It's a 3/4 double strike, and it's just a reasonable body to find off of the Eldritch Evolution. And it's a pet card of Zach's,
Yep.
so I'm sure he's excited to see it in action again.
I do like the card. I also think it's like just very powerful to give other creatures haste in this deck because of Winota, where if like it's totally reasonable that you could just like go end of turn, cast a Samut, untap, play Winota plus like 2 elves and then get 2 triggers or whatever.
Yeah, and so like you definitely want to play this card usually during your main phase because it has haste. But like if I have plenty on the board and I'm playing against a deck like, I don't know, Blue Control, Supreme Verdicts, it could be nice to just leave this up as Wrath Insurance.
Yep.
Untap, play the Winota, bash in for a ton.
Sure. And it also has the ability to give pseudo vigilance, which I don't know how much that matters, but it could come up in like a creature mirror. Probably
Sure.
not super important here, but you can use all the effects on it, so maybe it comes up.
Maybe.
So from my side of things, I'm playing blue-white control. I have kind of an interesting build here a lot of the blue-white decks have kind of moved away from Narset. I've actually gone harder towards Narset. This is a build I liked more during the combo era of Pioneer because Narset was so good against all the combo decks.
Right.
That said, this is probably worse than like the more prevalent build going around right now that's really counter-heavy. But I wanted to give you guys a taste of the deck, see how it actually plays, test it out. So what's happening here is Narset says my opponent can't draw more than one card each turn, and I have Gyre Reach Sanitarium to combo with it, which is a land where I can pay 2, tap it, and then each player draws a card and then discards a card. And if I do this on your turn, I can make you draw and discard in your upkeep, so then you drew for your turn already, you discarded a card from your hand, and then you just skip your draw step.
Yeah.
So essentially, if you have no cards in hand, I can stop you from ever drawing another card.
Right.
And I also have Commit Memory to kind of work with it, where I can flashback memory to make you shuffle your whole hand into play and then draw 1 card, and I get to draw 7. So I kind of break the synergy of it. The beauty of Commit is that it's just a fine spot removal spell.
It's like a format of Hero's Downfall that can hit spells.
They can hit spells, and it can be a counter spell if I need it. Commit's just like a card this deck is somewhat interested in playing anyway. It's a little too expensive for what you want that effective cost, but Blue-White doesn't have a lot of options for that anyway. I have basically Detention Sphere, and in terms of instant speed ones, Cast Out, which just costs the same anyway.
Sure.
So I think in terms of, it's not really that great, but it's kind of the best Blue-White gets if I'm not playing another color.
And something to note here, if you cast Memory during your turn, your opponent will draw the 1 for their Narset and they'll draw 1 for turn, right? But
Yep.
if you have a Teferi in play, you actually Memory during their turn,
Yep.
and deny them 1 extra card, which could be relevant.
Well, I can also just memory in your draw step if I have a Teferi.
Oh, right, exactly. So you just memory,
so you
they're
drew
done.
for a turn already, and then you just have no cards.
Yeah, that's
and
the
I
same.
just get a fresh 7.
Right.
So that said, you just mentioned Teferi. Teferi Time Raveler just got banned in Standard, banned in Historic,
Yeah.
banned in Brawl. This card's probably too good. I'm not entirely sure why they printed it. Maybe they don't. I don't know. This card's ridiculous.
Yep.
3 mana. I get to repulse a guy when it comes into play, and then you're stuck playing at sorcery speed, which combos really well with my counter spells because you can't play a flash game against me. You just have to play right into them.
Yep.
But this deck is built around Teferi Hero of Dominaria. Teferi Hero of Dominaria is the engine. It's the win con. It is everything, basically. It's not really how I win the game. I actually win with Castle Ardenvale, which is here to just make 1/1s. I do have 1 Shark Typhoon, 2 that I could, I guess, win the game with. But really, I'm winning with Teferi just getting to an emblem, locking you out, and then Narset locking you from ever getting another card, and Teferi just buries you.
Yep.
And the way Teferi works is it's plus, draws a card, then I untap 2 lands. So, like, I can play, on 5 mana, I can play Teferi, pass, or draw a card, untap 2 lands, pass, and have 2 mana up during your turn.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of trying to really play around that effect by having a lot of 2 mana spells. I have Azorius Charm as my, like, quote-unquote removal spell that cycles against decks removal's dead, so I can use it against you. I've got Essence Scatter as a 2 mana counter, Dobin's Veto as a 2 mana counter, and Frantic Inventory as my big card draw. A lot of blue-white decks play Dig Through Time. I'm trying to go with the Frantic Inventory route on this one. We'll see how good that is, but the heavy Narset and Frantic Inventory plus Memory to kind of shuffle everything back in and go again.
I'm not sure that's the combo, but...
Well,
That's
it
fine.
doesn't really work with Frantic Inventory, but Memory is like a reload. Like, that's
Right.
my card draw package, is kind of Teferi plus Inventory.
Yep.
We'll see how that goes. Dig Through Time's a really messed up card, so that might be wrong, but also, this deck isn't spectacular at filling its graveyard. It's decent at it, but if I have to be casting counter spells, it takes a while. I don't have a lot of 1 mana spells. In terms of the only 1 mana spell, I have Opt to just kind of smooth out my draw step. Make sure I hit my lands, that type of stuff. And then in terms of board interaction, I have Azorius to Charm as removal and Supreme Verdict as my sweeper of choice for Supreme Verdicts. And then I have Absorb as my kind of catch-all counterspell. Absorb has to carry a lot of weight in this deck. That said, with everything we've seen here, I am terrified of this deck. I don't have that good of interaction against Winota. I have specifically Essence Scatter and Absorb, and Commit, I guess, to some extent. But you're a Tithe Taker, Voice of Resurgence deck, so it's going to be a nightmare to try to play on your turn. You make a lot of bodies, so game 1 I'm going to be relying on Supreme Verdict a lot.
Yeah.
We'll see how this goes. I think post-board I get some good tools for this matchup, but I think game 1's going to be rough, but we'll see what happens.
I agree.
Let's shuffle up in battle.
How many Narsets are you playing?
3.
Nice. Alright, we're back here for game 1 of Naya Winota versus Blue Eye Control. Zach, what do you call him?
I'm going to call Odd.
Alright. It is even.
Odd has not worked very well for me
No,
so
it's
far
not.
today.
Alright, Sounds not insane, but I think we keep it.
Alright,
Yeah,
I
don't
got I've got 5 land, 2 spell hand on the draw, including the wonderful 2 Field of Ruins absorb combo.
Oh, sick, dude.
I think I'm going to go to 6.
Okay.
It's kind of unfair to mulligan knowing the matchup, but also, like, I do know that I'm playing against a creature-based deck, so keeping hands with 3 mana counters on the draw, no 2 mana interaction, and no sweeper is a little rough. I don't even have, like, a Teferi to bounce anything. If I didn't know the matchup, I might consider keeping that, but that hand, even, like, just, my hand was a Frantic Inventory and Absorb in 5 lands, which I would probably only keep in, like, a blue-white mirror. Be good
Yeah,
a blue-white mirror, but...
It's pretty slow. Also, I think we've acknowledged that we're just playing these games as if we know
Yeah.
what we're playing, so open deck lists.
On 6, well... this is a hand that has 3 lands that check off islands or plains, and no islands or plains, which is pretty awkward. And it doesn't do anything until turn 4. We're going to cross our fingers and pray that we draw well. We're on the draw.
Alright, stomping ground, go ahead.
That's a good start for me. I'm going to play a Glacial Fortress tapped. Here you go.
Okay, I will play a Fortified Village, revealing Temple Garden,
Okay,
and play a Voice of Resurgence.
great.
Go ahead.
Love that card against me. So I was thinking I wanted to play this land last turn specifically because this is a draw in my deck. So I got kind of punished for it. That said, I still think it's fine to just play this here and cast a Frantic Inventory.
Makes sense?
Your turn.
Alright. It's interesting. So I'll attack Zach for 2.
Puts me at 18.
I'll play his Temple Garden that we know about. I'll play a Tithe Taker.
Alright.
Just really put a lot of pressure on Zach to not be able to interact during our turn, and pass.
Alright, so this comes into play untapped. I could play it, and this still comes into play tapped, which this will be alleviated later if I wait, and I could wait. But I don't have anything else I can do this turn. The best I could do is draw an opt off what the play I'm going to make. So I'm going to start by casting a Frantic Inventory.
Okay,
So I get to draw 2 cards here.
there you go. You undid your mulligan.
I have undone a mulligan. And put a Castle Ardenvale and play tapped and pass to you.
Okay. So the shields are down, which is pretty expected because, you know, these guys make it really hard for Zach to play during my turn. So I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to cast an Eldritch Evolution.
Yep.
And I think I'm going to sacrifice the Tithe Taker because I think this leaves back a better body and is more prohibitive during my turn.
Makes sense.
So I'm going to get a... This is going to get exiled. I'm going to get a Spirit. And we're going to search up a 4-drop, which is...
You could get a 3-drop if you wanted.
Oh, should I?
You could.
No, I'm going to get Winota.
Alright. That's great. That's really great.
Yep, and we're going to start seeing some Winota triggers here.
Well, just one.
Yeah, I'll start with this one. Trigger. First one made it pretty easy for me. Yep, put this guy into play.
Alright, so I'm taking 8, 12?
Yeah, is that good? So you go to 6,
Yep.
and I'll play a land and pass.
Sweet. Draw for turn. Oh, I have a Verdict,
Okay.
which is a good start to this turn.
Yeah, for sure.
Doesn't get me out of this, necessarily. We still got a Voice Resurgence token to deal with, but it's better than what was on the board, so
Absolutely.
pass to you.
Alright, so we draw... I'll play a land, and play this Pinkra pre-combat,
Mm-hmm.
and that's to make it so that our voice gets a little bigger.
Yep.
And I'll get Zach for 4, down to 2.
I'm at 2.
So now this P Chronolar is just lethal off the activation alone, so put a lot of pressure on Zach there. Good.
Alright. Draw. Play a Glacial Fortress and Supreme Verdict.
Alright,
Here we go.
pretty good.
We've dealt with all the things!
Alright. We'll see if Zach has it one more time. P Chronolar, Tide Taker. Good.
Well, I drew it last turn, so go me. No land drop this turn, but I do have the Verdict.
Alright, we'll get a 1/1 Spirit. So if we draw like a Rail Master, or excuse me, a Legion Warboss, pretty good.
Samut would kill me here. No, Sammy!
Legion Warboss on
Oh,
the
come
top.
on!
Oh man.
The frustrating thing too is I have the charm, so like I could have lived this if I just had
Drew
a
land?
land, yeah.
That's
And
funny.
then I got Teferi and Absorb. I even have Absorb, so if I get to untap, I'm good.
Yeah, that's funny.
3 verdicts and I still lose. That's
Still not enough.
unbelievable.
Yeah, that's rough. That's kind of crazy, actually. The deck's pretty resilient to sweepers.
All right, we're back post board. Uh, this matchup feels really bad. You can see I had 3 verdicts there and still died. And Raja didn't even have a busted draw. You had a slow start. I mean, you did have voice, which is good,
Yeah.
but not a busted draw by any means, and still easily defeated like a good draw on my part.
Yeah.
So that's tough. That said, some of my cards are really bad in this matchup. Dovin's Veto does almost nothing. I guess we're seeing him bring in Tybalt, but it has like 4 targets in his deck total, so easy first cut. I think Azorius Charm is particularly horrible against you because I can only really use it on your turn. So given that, it is really bad against Voice Resurgence. If I want to use it to get a Voice Resurgence off the table, I'm giving you the thing it would trigger into anyway, and then
Yeah.
you're going to draw it again. It's bad. It costs more mana against Tithe Taker. Really awkward, and that's another reason why I'm cutting Absorb. Tithe Taker is super punishing for this card. It's not even clear that it's good to begin with. I may not even be able to hold it up on 3 through a Tithe Taker, and you can easily just go 1-drop Tithe Taker Winota and then just have it in play.
Yeah, I think we can agree that just counter magic is not what you want in this matchup.
No, and for the same reason I'm cutting Narset. Narset is good to help me find Supreme Verdicts, but it doesn't really...
Do verdicts even work, though? I think we established that verdicts is not good in this matchup.
Yeah, but Narset just isn't really doing what I want. Like, you don't draw extra cards anyway. Your card advantage is not drawing cards, it's just putting stuff in play, which is kind of ridiculous, but it is what it is. And Narset doesn't play well to the board. It's just a card draw engine, I guess. It's part of my lock piece, but I think if I just survive the early game, I can lock you out. I don't really need to like lock you out from drawing more cards.
Sure.
Your deck's not that resilient. It's more like it's resilient in the fact that its creatures leave behind creatures, not that like you can come back from me drawing a bunch of cards and getting out of the early game.
Yeah, I don't have any like card selection or card draw. It's just
Yep.
I'm at the mercy of my draw step.
Yep. But I mean, you do have like resilient creatures. That's not what Narset's for.
Right.
So I'm bringing in 4 Aether Gusts. This is the best card in my sideboard by a mile. I think this deck has to be playing 4 Aether Gusts at the moment because of that deck, and it hits almost every card in your entire deck. In fact, the only thing it doesn't hit is Tithe Taker, I think.
That sounds right.
It hits everything else. So 4 of these, awesome. I'm bringing in Devout Decree, which I expect to be pretty bad, but also just it's a sorcery speed spell, which I'm kind of forced into playing anyway, that can exile some of your stuff. Like I can hit a Legion War Boss, I can hit a Winota if maybe you played a Naked Winota just to get under counter magic
Sure.
or whatever it is.
And we can see here that I'm bringing in some more targets for you, but I'll get to that in
Sure.
a second.
And then I have Dream Trawler just because it's a lifelinking body that can block, I guess.
Yeah.
Better than Narset.
I think so too. I think I would bring it in if I were you.
All right. And that's
So-
what I got.
Yeah, over on this side, I'm going to board down 2 dorks, 2 mana elves. Zach has Supreme Verdict, so like a land war elf heavy draw isn't as good. And like usually that'd be okay because we have a Winota to just turn them into more humans, but in this case, if I just play a bunch of dorks and don't do anything, Zach just cleans them all up and the game's over.
Mhm.
You're doing one of each just in case Zach had Tension Sphere.
I think when you have 6, too, like, you're still pretty likely to have one of your opening hands.
I think so too, yeah.
You're like over 60% or something.
Yeah, especially on the draw too. Boarding out Eldritch Evolution. It's bad against counter magic, and I actually kind of want to keep my 2-drops around just because they kind of tax Sack. They leave behind bodies through sweepers. I don't really want to just throw them away. And obviously, getting Winnow is pretty good, but like, I think it's probably one of my worst cards. I don't want this getting Aether Gusted at all. And then I'm trimming on the Angrass Marauders. I'm going away a little bit from the Winota plan. This is a terrible card to just draw. It's a 7-mana card that gets Aether Gusted.
Yep.
Which is not what we're interested in at all. I'm leaving 2 in the deck just so that we have, when we have those trigger heavy turns, we will find them most likely. We only need like 1 to just really finish the game, right?
Yep.
And so I'm taking these cards out. I'm bringing in Garrick's Harbinger. It's a turn 2 play off a dork that can start connecting on Zach or Teferi and just dig for creatures. And when we're trying to find Winota, that's awesome. It's a non-human creature, so it triggers Winota. Just a good card there. Clothis and Tybalt are both ways to commit to the board without being as exposed to Supreme Verdict in the forms of Indestructible and additional token creation. And then with Tybalt, it can turn off Sack's Absorbs if he has any left in his deck. It turns off Dream Trawler from getting life. And then Clothis can attack Sack's Pranic Inventories.
Yep.
And I don't know if you play Fable Passage, but...
I have 1.
So yeah, it could potentially accelerate me in a weird spot, but...
You also could cycle lands.
Right, yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
have the irrigated farmland, so yeah.
Yeah, Tibble also, I think Tibble's really good in that deck. It turns off my life gain, but also just makes 2 bodies to trigger Winota with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
That's perfect.
Cool. Alright, I got kind of a slower draw, but I at least have cheap spells. I've got good mana, so I think I'm going to keep and see if we can dig to the cards we need for the matchup.
My hand's just great. I'll keep.
Good? Like to hear that. Go to 18, it's your turn.
Uh, turn 1, elf, go.
I see your elf, and I'm going to play an opt.
Nice.
Whose play was better?
We'll never know.
Probably not mine. Alright, that was a Dream Trawler. We're shipping that really quick. Don't want to draw a 6-drop here. Draw for turn. That was actually a pretty good draw. I'm going to play a Glacial Fortress and pass.
Okay. I'm gonna start by casting a Voice Resurgence.
I hate it. I'm going to gust it on the
Okay.
stack. Not let it resolve. I'm going to gust it on the
You
stack.
sure?
Yep.
Alright. I like Voice Resurgence, so I'm gonna put it on top. I'll get Zach for 1.
I'm at 17.
Good.
So, I've got some options here. If Raja wants to play Winota next turn, he cannot get a trigger off of it, which I would be okay with, I think. Obviously, it's not great for me, but I would be okay with it. I think given that he topped the Voice Resurgence, he's pretty likely to play it again next turn, or at least has it in his plans to play it again. And given that, I kind of want to like plan a step further. Obviously, I'm saying this to him, so he's going to one-up that, but here we are. I'm going to play it to Fairy Time Raveler, and I'm going to tick it up so that I can answer the voice next turn. Go ahead.
Okay. Interesting.
I think it's also totally reasonable there to bounce the Llanowar Elf, but my hand leaves me very weak to voice if I do that, so I think this is a better play.
Okay. So I think here I'm gonna take the opportunity to just resolve a PNLR, just because it's a little better against like a fair bounce. Like if he wants to bounce the token, that means I still have these 2 bodies around, and then I'm gonna go ahead and attack the Teferi for 1. Go. If Zach wants to use a verdict on just these 2 bodies, I'm not too devastated.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that. So, Raja probably has another land here, but he might not. And if he doesn't, I want to limit Winota's damage, so I am going to do what Raja suggested and bounce the Doctor.
Okay.
Draw a card. I'm going to put a Castle Ardenvale into play and pass to Raja.
Alright. Alright, I'm gonna start by playing a Voice Resurgence.
Great, I love that. I'm going to respond to voice and cast a Frantic Inventory.
Resolves.
I love that you were like, resolves, like you were going to counter it or something.
You looked at me like...
Just wanted to make sure. Alright, well, now I'm going to make the very strong play of cycle my removal spell that I would love to play in this game, but can't because it sucks against your Voice Resurgence.
And
So.
right there is why I cast the Voice pre-combat, so that Zach can't like keep his Teferi around by charming the one that goes into Teferi. So now I just have clean attacks. So I'll go 2 at Zach and 1 at Teferi.
Teferi's dead. I'm at 15.
And then I'll pass.
Draw for turn. That was a really good draw. And by really good draw, I mean I drew an opt, so I'm going to cast it.
Okay.
Well, I do believe I want that. Sure. think I'm going to play a Gyre Reach Sanitarium and pass.
Okay. Commit.
Yep.
Attack for 5.
I go to 10.
Go.
Alright, end of turn here. I'm going to activate Gyre Reach. So we
Okay.
just draw a card and discard. My hand's really garbage, so I don't feel bad doing this. I'm going to get rid of this Field of Ruin that I don't think does anything.
I'm gonna discard my 3rd mana Confluence.
Nice.
Yep.
Draw. Ooh, that was a sick draw. You have how many cards in hand?
3.
3?
Yep.
Alright, I'm going to play a Plains. Cast a Frantic Inventory, draw 2.
Sick, dude.
Draw 2.
Yeah, that's 2 of them.
Going off.
I'm just,
Off.
just dead.
I'm going to cast a Verdict.
Okay, so I'm gonna get a Elemental.
Sure. Go ahead, I don't care about that stuff.
You sure?
No, I care a lot. I'm in trouble. But that's fine.
All set?
Yep.
Alright, end of turn. Sam it?
Oh no! Sammy! No!
We talked about this play, this exact play, and it came up. So this is what, 8?
It's a measly 8.
Just a measly 8. Alright, get you for 8.
You really didn't have any other creature there?
I wish I did.
I was gonna say, I'm so dead, okay.
You'd just be dead.
Fair enough.
God.
Well, I can assume rightly that Roger doesn't have any other creatures there, because I was dead.
You're dead on board.
Very dead. I'm gonna draw. Okay, that's actually not the worst. This is kind of terrifying. So, what is my options here? I think I'm at 2. So I'm pricing at doing these 2 things, or I guess this and this. I'm definitely doing these 3 things. I think given that I might want to do this, I'm going to play this. And then I'll pass to you.
Okay. Alright. So what's Zach got here? He's got a Castle Ardenvale activation, and he's got potentially a Zorius Charm. I guess we just start by seeing what he does about this. I'll play an Ingress Marauders. That's right, baby. Ingress Marauders. Card I always want to draw.
Okay. Well. That resolves.
Commit.
Before combat. I'm going to commit to that.
Second from the top.
Yes, second from the top.
And I'll attack. So he's always charming.
Yep, it was Zorius Charm.
Good.
So Ingress Marauders doesn't have trample, so I am putting myself in a spot here where I can just chump it with Ardenvale if I need to.
Yep.
So you definitely have some draws that would just get me, and that thing being in play means like all your haste stuff's lethal. P and Karan's lethal.
It was already lethal, but yeah.
Sure. Pia's lethal, right? No, that's hasty.
Well, Pia can make your token not
Yeah,
block.
make it not block, so that would basically be lethal. I kind of need to hope you whiff, if I'm being honest here. The question is how I want to do this. I think I'm pretty incentivized to get this going and hope for a turn. I don't really have a better play than that. I could try and do this plus use this, which is maybe the safest play, but I think what I need to do is just kind of hope this one hits. So I'm going to play a Narset.
Okay.
You have 1 card in hand?
1 card.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and tick Narset down.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to leave her at 5.
No, just the play of playing Narset.
Yep.
Trying to figure out what's going on.
Oh, a lot of options here now. I think I'm going to take an 8th August.
Yep.
Yep. Don't really want to put all those on the bottom, but here we are. And given that I drew Gust, I think I'm just going to put this irrigated farmland into play and pass.
Yeah, we need a good one here. We'll play Winota.
Alright. Winota resolves.
Combat.
Before comment, I'm going to Gust.
Yep.
Do you want to put that on top?
I will not.
Okay. Just figured I'd ask.
Yeah, that's fair. Good.
So I think Raj is wise to my Gaia Reach Sanitarium line here, so he's holding the card in hand. But it's not necessarily going to save him. We'll see. But that's a good draw. I'm going to go ahead and tick Narset down. Oh, this I get to look at cards. Ooh, that's a pretty good one. I'm going to take a Devout Decree.
That's a very good one.
So, I'm going to go ahead and Devout Decree Winota.
Yep. Scry.
Yep, I get a Scry. I'll bottom that. I'm going to play a Castle Ardenvale. And I am going to pass to Raja. In your upkeep, we're both going to draw and then discard a card.
Okay.
Discard a Glacial Fortress.
So I'm like hard locked here, right? Because
If I can answer that, then yeah.
yeah. I mean, like once you obviously you wouldn't make this play if you didn't have an answer.
Yep.
And then once you have this answered, you can make a token every single turn, and then Gaia Reach me.
Well,
so
you just never get to draw another card.
Right. So I'll never draw a card again, and you have the token, so you don't have to like.
Yep, and I have the Essence Scatter.
Right. Yep. That's it. GG.
So there we actually see there that the Narset lock was real.
Yeah.
Even against an aggro deck. And I boarded out Narsets. I hit my only copy and it was good.
Pretty sick.
That said, this is all coming in a spot where you kind of had a really awkward draw where you drew a 7-drop and a bunch of lands.
Well, so my opening hand was these 4 cards plus 3 lands.
Sure.
The first card I drew was this, which was why I laughed.
Okay.
And then all lands.
All right,
So
fair.
like.
So you
which
had
is
an
fine.
insane hand and then didn't draw spells.
Yeah, basically. Which is
fair.
fine. I mean, it happens. But
Alright, so there you go. Blue-white being on the play plus the other deck just not functioning. Good strategy for blue-white.
perfect.
And, yeah, I barely won, so...
Yeah, and if I just drew a creature the turn that I played the Sailor,
Yep.
you're just
Yep.
dead. But the funny thing is I had 5 lands in play, and a 6th land in my hand, but my only creature was the 7-drop, because it's so clunky.
Oh, sure. I guess that is the punishment. It's probably smart of you to board it out, because it just isn't, like, the combo kill me with it just
Yeah, it
isn't
doesn't matter.
super necessary.
No,
It's nice
it's
to be able to hit 1 or 2, but
Right.
you really want to just be, like, the thing that beats me in this matchup is really Voice of Resurgence. That card is so good against my deck.
Yeah, it's all about like the small creatures that just leave more creatures behind. It's just how I want to play this matchup.
Yep.
That and flashing and Samet during grand stuff. Those are the 2 things I want to be doing.
That one was brutal. Sitting there like, oh man, Sammy, no.
Alright, back for game 3.
Yep, back for game 3. Let's see how this goes.
Man, this hand looks good until I realized I had no lands.
I actually have about as good of a curve as this deck can ask for. I wouldn't say this hand is spectacular, but it's good. I'm gonna keep it.
I guess like Verdict's like the only card you're really looking for. But
Having Verdict in my hand is the deck's nut draw.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep this, and I guess we're gonna bottom this. Yeah, this one. All right, land go.
Oh, that might actually be the nut draw. Go ahead. I think we got there.
All right, I'll play a Tide Taker. Good. Is this good? Is this card good against?
Well, not the nut drawer anymore. Yep. Alright. Good.
I'll play 2. Play Legion War Boss.
Yep.
I don't think we got goblins, unfortunately.
No, we don't have goblins. Alright, just use something.
Get back. Get you for 1.
You don't attack with the Tide Taker?
Oh yeah, I got 2. Sorry, I'm distracted by me putting tokens to play.
I was hoping you just wouldn't, but that's fine.
Oh, that's not it either.
The goblin did.
Alright.
Draw. That was exactly what I was looking for. That is nice.
I can never tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
Oh, it was not.
Oh, okay, so it was sarcasm.
Your go!
Commit?
Beginning of combat.
Yep.
I'm going to Aether Gust that.
That's interesting. I guess I like War Boss for like a post-Wrath situation. So, yeah, I'll keep that on top. I got you for 3.
14.
I'll play Garrick's Harbinger. Good.
Oh boy. And you missed your land drop that turn?
I did.
Okay, and I know you're drawing War Boss.
Correct.
So I don't have to play around Winota here, which I think is relevant. Alright. I think what I need to do is kind of stall. This is tough. Harbinger is just a problem. Alright. So, I have the option of playing one of these first and then doing this in case I draw exactly the card opt. But if I do this now and draw a tap land, I will be happy that I didn't play one of these. So, I think on the whole, it's better to just go this first because I have more tap lands than ops left in my deck. I'm going to bounce Garrick's Harbinger and draw a card.
Okay.
Then I'm going to play Castle Ardenvale and pass.
So he knows about both these 3 drops. I'm trying to think of which one I like playing here more. The War Boss makes more bodies right now. So if Zach's not working with a Wrath, it's a lot more pressure. Whereas if I just play the Harbinger, it's just like the obvious target for removal. So yeah, I'm gonna play the War Boss.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to combat, get another token.
Go to 11. I assume you're killing Teferi.
Yep, I'm gonna kill Teferi and put you to 3, or deal you 3.
Yep, I go to 11.
Good.
Draw for turn. It's an alright draw. I think I am going to just use it this turn. I could play the other land, but I don't really want to draw a land off this, so might as well marginally thin. It's not a huge benefit in this deck of holding it. Plus, with the card I'm going to play, I'd rather get the shuffle out of the way before I get my scries, so I think this makes sense.
About Decree?
Yep, I'm going to do out Decree. Would you like to cut?
You good?
So I'm going to Devout Decree the Legion War Boss. I get a scry.
Yep.
That's not a terrible draw, so I'm thinking about this, but it's not a great one either, and usually when I see this card on top with a scry, I think it's just worth bottoming, unless you're just specifically looking for action, but I'm going to bottom that. And then play another Teferi, and I can bounce a Goblin, and it goes away forever, and it cuts down on your, like, Winota power, but I know you don't have another land at the moment, so it's not clear you can play Winota next turn, and getting Tithe Taker off the battlefield actually puts me in a spot where I can start doing stuff on your turn. Maybe it makes you redeploy it at least. So think on the whole, it also saves me more life. I'm gonna risk Winota coming down next turn and just ending the game, and bounce Tithe Taker.
Sure.
Draw, and then pass to you.
All right. All right.
I hope it wasn't Ingress Marauders.
So something like that. I'll play this 4/5 village. So. I feel like I guess there's a chance Zach has Wrath, but I feel like he doesn't, just based on the fact that he's like last turn was a pretty reasonable spot to just cast it. But maybe he's just trying to hold on to it for like a better spot, and like he's got clearly he's got other things he can be doing, like Devout Creek plus the Fairy, which is nice. But I'm not too worried about losing this, and I think I do want to play this in case there is a Wrath. So I'm gonna go ahead and play my Elf and Tithe Taker,
Okay.
and I'll send one at Fairy and one at you.
I'm at 10.
Good.
Alright, so now I'm really looking for a Wrath. He was right, I didn't have one. It would be a spectacular draw. Wasn't what we drew. So now I have an option. The problem is that this Tithe Taker is going to gum up all the works. So what I kind of need to do is just hope I can survive an attack with a Winota. And honestly, this card's going to help me do that, so I'm going to play a Dream Trawler. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
I can survive most Winota things here that don't hit specifically Ingress Marauders, and I might be able to survive Ingress Marauders, but at least the chip damage is done if you don't have like an insane Winota turn.
True. Alright, well we're going to play this Winota and kind of hope for the best here.
Alright.
And we're going to get 3 triggers off, which is nice, so I will attack with those guys. Trigger.
Yep, first trigger.
You're not going to be happy about this one, Zach. Let's get this guy in play.
Alright. So baseline he deals 8 damage because he comes into play tapped attacking and is indestructible.
So I think that's a must block for you already.
Yep. The chump with my 6 drop.
Oh man, never lucky. I missed on the second one.
That's a shame. Too bad you don't have a third one coming.
Alright. Alright, we'll put this P in alarms play. Trigger, get a Thopter.
I'm just dead, right?
Yeah, I think this is just...
You have 5 bodies, even if they're all ones. I block here.
So you're going to gain 3, so you have a 13 life total.
But this is more than
4,
enough. 8,
6,
10, 14.
4, 6, yep.
No, this is 8.
12. Oh no, this...
4,
I'm sorry, yeah,
8,
4, 8,
10,
10, 14.
12, 14.
And then, yeah, you're done by 1.
Cool. I put a Dream Trawler onto a board of 3 1/1s and a 2/1 and died.
At 10 life.
From 10 life. Well, at least it feels like Winota was a well-tested card, where they played with it a lot and
Oh,
were like,
sure,
yeah, this
of
seems
course.
fine. Why would this card be a problem? There's nothing wrong with the things coming into play tapped attacking.
No, not
Why would that be a big deal?
No, not at all.
Indestructible too? Why are they indestructible? What is
Like,
that?
well, they balanced it by making like a really unreasonable, like a weak body by like 4 mana.
Yeah,
4/4? Wait,
yeah,
okay, never mind.
Yeah. I can at least lightning bolt it or something.
Yeah, exactly. It dies
Yeah.
to decay.
Yeah, all the removal they printed,
Abrade.
eliminate like the good removal spells
Yeah,
they printed
yeah.
in the standard.
Nothing.
Well, that was case in point of why this matchup is terrible. I think I navigated the early games really well. That Tithe Taker was brutal. I was saying I had a nut draw because I had 2 gusts in my opening hand. It's like, this is the nut draw. I can gust everything in your deck except Tithe Taker, which now I get time walked on my turn 2 because you have a Tithe Taker.
Yeah, that's brutal.
So, I mean, on the draw, I think that's about as good as you can hope for is 2 gusts. Yeah, I could hope for a Verdict, and Verdict would have been good, but I think I played well to get to this spot, and then this is why you have Ingress Marauders in your deck. And
Yeah, I mean, we saw me get punished for having it in
Yep.
game 2, but it literally won us the game in game 3.
and I don't think you can win that game if I untap.
No, I think I'm just dead.
I think you're dead too. So, I mean, that is a point of why you're playing Winota and why this card is in the deck. Because, like, if you could be playing a Jeskai version, right? You could have Agent of Treachery instead. If you hit Agent of Treachery off this, it doesn't do anything.
So what it would
I guess
do
you steal
is...
a land.
Well, no, it'd actually target your Dream Trawler. You'd discard, tap it,
Yeah.
but it'd be so that I deal you more damage and you don't gain life that turn.
Sure, but then I'm untapping with a Dream Trawler.
Yeah.
I get to like hit you.
So this
Verdict.
actually would have been, so if this is an Asian Treachery, and I had the 2 tokens right, that would have been 2, 4, 6. Actually, would push you to 1. So yeah, he would have untapped, which is
Untapped, get to attack with Dream Trawler, deal 5, gain 5, draw
at least
2
5.
cards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if not more.
I need to hit a Verdict, which I don't have, so I'm gonna die. But yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, thoughts on this matchup?
Felt very good for me. The game that you won narrowly, and it was through heavy flooding and me drawing the stud card, which is part of the deck. The deck just feels like it's literally like it wasn't made to beat your deck, but it just seems to have so many good cards that are just super hateful towards your deck. Like the Tide Taker, Voice of Resurgence, 2-drops are just like so good.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the fact that the bodies leave behind bodies. I've said that many times now. Winota just seems like a really messed up card.
Yeah, Winota's just not reasonable.
Nope. And then like the sideboard just had like pretty cool bodies that like you were scared of this card. Like you wanted to get rid of it as soon as you saw it. And if I had untapped with it, it probably would have just been really bad for you.
Yeah. I have to deal with it. It's just gonna keep drawing you cards.
Yep.
It's gonna find you Winota, and Winota's gonna beat me.
Yeah.
So from my point of view, I don't think this deck is playable in a Voice of Resurgence world. If in Modern, you can play blue-white into Voice of Resurgence because you have Path Exile. Yeah, it stinks to ramp them when they have their 2-drop, but I can cleanly deal with it and then move on with my day.
Right.
I don't have that in this format. I can
Well,
gust it, I guess.
You're just not doing like you're not playing those cards because they're not necessarily the best removal spells. Like you can be playing like Silk Wrap, or
Sure.
the one from the more recent one. I forget what it's called.
Sure, but it's just not like I can play Seal Away, Silk Wrap, Glass Casket.
No, I'm talking about the one that's from the one that leaves behind the dinosaur. I can't remember the card's name.
Oh, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Enchantment-based removal effect.
Right.
Sure, I can play those, but they're not good.
They're not good.
They're just not good cards.
And they make you tap out during your turn, which is
Yep.
not what you built your deck to do. You want to be playing during my turn. So.
Yeah, so I think that this is just the reality of blue right here, is that if that deck is popular and Voice of Resurgence is a really popular card in the format, which it looks like it's going to be based on how good that deck is, this deck needs to change. It needs to adapt. It needs to be doing something different than what it's doing now, and it needs to take this into account, because it felt like if you played a turn 2 Voice of Resurgence or Tide Taker, I was just cold.
Yeah, and like to be fair, the way you sideboarded, you boarded out a lot of your counter magic, right?
Yep.
So like there was less pressure on you to have mana during my turn.
Yeah.
So I think if you did like board in some of those effects, it might be like okay for you. Just because like those 2-drops are just so bad for you. Like after that, like you're able to interact with basically everything.
Yeah. So maybe I do need to have like Glass Caskets in the sideboard or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Yeah. That
Silk
might be the right
Wraps.
way. Yeah.
Okay, so and that's a reasonable way to take this deck. Like that could be just the right way to go. And those cards are good in the format. Like they're very good against some decks, but they're bad in the format as a whole.
Yeah.
So maybe it makes sense to have Baffling.
Baffling, I can't remember the name, but yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it makes sense to have Baffling in the sideboard of this deck. I could totally buy that because it'd be good against Mono Black. It's good against SRAM. It'd be good against this. So yeah, maybe that's just the right way to go, and I have my sideboard built wrong.
Yeah. This is why we play these games. You learn these things through reps.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. I hope you appreciated the post-combat, post-game discussion there, because we've had some people talk about that, and I think that's really kind of what's important here, is seeing if we can learn something from the matchup, if we can pick something up, and I think we did.
Yeah, and like this isn't like us just like going through the motions for your sake. This is actually like how me and Zach approach deck building when we're talking about matchups.
Yep.
We find out the weaknesses and then we try to see if there's remedies for those. And if we don't, we move on. And if we do, in this case, we think that this might be good. It might not be, but we talked about it and we now have it on our radar for a card to potentially put in the next sideboard moving forward.
I also am I don't like how my deck is built main deck. I want if Voice of Resurgence is going to be popular, I want main deck answers to it, and I just don't have any. Azorius Charm just isn't a real answer to it, and I have to get to 4 before I can really answer anything in this deck's Supreme Verdict. So I realistically think there's a chance I should be main decking some Aether Gusts. I think it's mostly good in the format. There's so many decks it hits.
For sure.
And I think I can kind of take my lumps against the decks it doesn't hit, and just kind of try to survive. I have Gyre Sanitarium. I can get rid of it. It's not great, but I can.
Right.
So maybe that's where I should be going. We'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about like building a control deck in a metagame that's wide open, because the bannings really shook things up. So like trying to like pinpoint how to build your control deck is really hard right now.
Yep.
But like as the deck list starts to pour in from online results, you'll be able to identify exactly how you want to build your deck and be able to take risks like main decking Aether Gust.
Sure.
If it's a calculated risk that pays off.
Sure. And I think, we're seeing like Aether Gust main decked in Modern. I don't think it's crazy at this point. Hitting 2 colors just we're starting to see that it's very akin to Doomblade, how it was like, yeah, it's got this one downside where it doesn't hit something, but there are so many decks that use one of these colors that you're going to find targets, you know?
Yeah, I've always likened it to like Drown on the Lock that's always on.
Sure.
Because it's like a removal spell, it's a counter spell, and it's super flexible, and it gets around cards that say you can't be countered too.
Exactly.
Which is so good.
Yep.
And like in Standard, main decking gets like, it's weird if you're not main decking in
Yeah.
Standard. So like
You just do, yeah.
yeah, I can definitely see the progression as we see these powerful green-red cards printed in the past year or two, force people's hands into playing more Aether Gust into the main deck.
Yep, I could just totally buy that.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Remember, if you liked the video, please leave a comment. Please like the video. Please subscribe. All of that helps us grow the channel. We really appreciate it.
For sure.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
I'm joined by Kyle Balgames. Welcome, Kyle.
How are ya?
Raja Suleiman with Orzhov.
Max McVitie.
Congratulations, Brian DeMars.
Zach Allen.
I wouldn't be here without these guys, though. So.
And the champion of Proto Counter-Attack here, Ari Lax.